Let's get this show on the road. Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. I'm kidding with the mask. I'm at home. Okay. Yes, there is a sound. It seems like there's someone above me drilling. I don't know what's that about or what's going on, but hopefully they'll stop pretty soon. I have a mic on. It's close to my face. This is the best for sound that I can do at this point. But yeah, hopefully you're hearing me at least a little bit okay. We're going to be recording this session, and I will also provide whatever notes I do in this session. However, in general, you do want to take your own notes no matter what. Welcome to the class Pre-Calculus. I'm Vengeance. I'm kidding. My name is Jhevon. I'm your instructor. Did anyone see that trailer though? I don't know. I don't know if I can trust DC, but I actually got a little bit hopeful. So let's actually jump into it. So here is my screen. So for the most part, I'll be sharing my screen with you guys whenever we're here. You won't need to have videos on for this, for these sessions. Hopefully at some point throughout the semester, I will eventually see all of you face to face. I'll see you during office hours or something like that. So I will hopefully get to know you that way. But whenever we're in sessions like this, this is kind of how it's going to be. It's just going to be me sharing my screen. You'll just hear the soothing sounds of my voice talking about math. Okay. So this is Pre-Calculus Math 1000. This class is section R04. As you can see right there, we meet Mondays and Thursdays, 2:30 p.m. to 3:45 p.m. If you are here, chances are you received all my, you received at least one of the things I sent out. That's how you would have the link to be here on time. So I'm pretty hopeful. I think everyone's here, but just let me do a quick check-in. So I want you to respond to this if it's in the negative, okay? So I think most of you got them, but I'm looking for the few people who did not, okay? So yesterday I actually tried to contact you guys through 4 different sources. I want to make sure which sources are working for you, which aren't. So you should have gotten an email from directly from my email that you see listed here, jsmith06@fordham.edu. So I sent a mass email directly from my Fordham email to you. Is there anyone who did not get that email? Okay, no, it seems like everyone got that. Okay, I also sent a message to something called Jupiter Ed. Did anyone not get an email from Jupiter? Okay, I think we're good there as well. All right, okay, so I also sent a message through something called Grade Scope. One word, Grade Scope. Is there anyone who did not receive an email from Grade Scope? Okay, and it seems you're okay with that. Okay, so I also posted an announcement on Blackboard. So I believe whenever I post announcements on Blackboard, it sends out an email automatically informing everyone that an announcement has been posted. Has anyone not received an announcement email from Blackboard? Or you didn't see the announcement in Blackboard or any of that? Okay.
I didn't see that either.
Maybe type in the chat so I can see your name. Okay, so Skylar didn't. Can you actually log into Blackboard? So yeah, you don't have to raise your hand. So if you need to say something, you can actually just audibly say it or just type in the chat.
I believe that on Blackboard, you need to change the settings so that you get an email about the announcements posted.
Okay. I believe those settings were there because my other classes got them, but maybe for this particular class, it just wasn't there. I will double check. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people did not get the Blackboard one. So there's something off of the Blackboard thing setting that I need to change. All right, okay, so I will look into that. All right, but you guys got all the other 3, which is good because chances are I will be reaching out to you using the others. So for the most part, I will, if I want to communicate with the class en masse, chances are you're going to see a message through Jupiter. If I'm responding to you one-on-one, chances are I'd respond from my own email. Okay, all right. Okay, so, all right, that being said, now that we know where you're hearing me, communication is gonna be very important. So I need to know that all the avenues are actually working out. I'll send out another announcement on Blackboard, make sure, double check the settings later, so you guys can tell me if you see it or not next time. But as I said, communication is gonna be very, very important. So I need to make sure that all channels are clear, that everyone's getting it. So yeah, whenever it's like Jupyter, like the email would be sent directly to you. So you won't have to like check in there. And I'll talk about what Jupyter is, what Gradescope is, all this stuff. So I've been even getting a lot of questions from students who wanted to be proactive within the last week, asking me, oh, what's the textbook? What's going on? How's it going? So I'm gonna answer all those questions in today's class. By the end of today's class, you will know exactly how this class will be run, what you need to be on top of, all that good stuff. That's what the point of today's class is. It's really just a class introduction, introduce to you how we're going to be doing things and where our data is going to be coming from, how the lectures are going to be structured, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as you can see there, my name is Jhevon, and that's my email. And office hours, it's pretty open. So because I'm not in person on campus at all anyway, I'm pretty flexible with office hours. I'm going to be spending most of my time at home. So by appointment, if you need to meet with me, which again, I encourage you guys to reach out if there's anything, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. Just shoot me an email, try to set up an appointment, and I can meet with you over Zoom. This is my website, where all my classes are, but this is this particular class's website. And in fact, I posted the website for the class in the chat right now, so you can click on that and make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. And in fact, let me actually share that with you. So let me share my browser. So I just shared a link to this website here in the chat. And what I'll be going over is the syllabus. You can actually find the syllabus on that website here. And you'll notice that all of these links here are hyperlinks, so they're clickable. You click on a website, it'll send you to that website. You click on my email, it'll open up whatever your base email client is. If you click on this, it'll send you to the Amazon page for the book, and et cetera. So all the things, all the links in the syllabus are clickable, and you should be able to get to them without having to type them up. So that's nice. And so I sent you a link in the chat to this website, so you should be able to view that. And there's a lot of information on the class website already, but I'll talk about using that in a little bit. Okay, so just so you see, I have shared that in the chat. Right. Okay. So now, of course, it's 2020. Have to put that disclaimer on. Massive changes have been made to education, you guys have no doubt. So if anything happens throughout the semester where I have to kind of slightly change any protocols or policies that I mentioned in today's lecture, this is just a disclaimer that allows me to do that. And of course, if any changes are made to how the class is structured or is going to be run or what we're doing, I will of course let you guys know, I'll inform you. And I'm not going to make any changes that's going to cause student performance to fall. If anything, it's going to make it better. So I just mentioned why I give you these websites. This is a general course description of what we'll be doing. Calculators, you will not need a calculator. You might use it on homework if something asks you to compute something 6 decimal places or whatever. But in general, on any test or any quiz, in fact, I'm not going to allow calculators. Now I can't necessarily enforce this in this scenario, but I would highly encourage you not to use a calculator. This is the Gpa grade chart, the regular one. You can find out more information on this link here. And here is how your grade is going to be computed in this class. So homework, that accounts for 10% of your grade. It will be online through an online homework system. Unfortunately, you will have to pay for the system. I will talk about that. But if you do pay into the system, you get an e-version of the textbook for free. So as well as there is an option. I know there are several classes at Fordham that would use this system. And once you pay for this system once, you would be able to access every class that uses that again. So you don't have to pay for multiple classes. So any of your other classes, I know there are a bunch of classes in economics and some science classes that use it. Maybe some business classes that use this. And yeah, once you pay into this once, you can actually access all your classes from it. Quizzes count for 15%. We are going to have about 6 quizzes. I'll drop one just to give you a chance to learn the ropes. Tests, there will be 2 tests. And one will happen around midterms week and one will happen towards the end of the semester around the last day of class, a little bit before that maybe. The final exam is cumulative. That will be given at the end of the class. It covers the entire class and it will be given during finals week. I'll talk about when that is later on as well. So there are 2 tests. They're non-cumulative, so there is no real overlap between tests or quizzes unless it's incidental, right? Of course, sometimes you learn a basic foundational principle that it applies throughout the entire class. But in general, I'm not going to be the quizzes and tests aren't cumulative. The final exam, though, is cumulative. It covers everything that we've gone over. It's your last chance to show that you've actually learned the material and you are okay with it. So now, these guys are just guidelines. In general, I will kind of grade the class on a curve. I will incentive in the sense that, not just everybody. I don't believe in the principle of, just give everybody 10% or whatever. Like, I don't really curve like that, but I do incentivize improvement. So I'll give you a little bump up if I notice that you're improving over time. So maybe you got off to a rough start. You did bad on the first few quizzes. You did horrible on the first test. But if I see you throughout the semester, you're continually progressing. And by the end of the semester, you're almost at an A with the latest work that you're doing. Then, I might conveniently forget some of the mishaps that you had in the first part of the semester. So always keep trying, never give up, keep working hard, keep trying to learn from what's not working, and try to do better over time. I'll be giving you advice whenever we meet like this, as well as in the lectures, you'll be getting advice, and I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But that's generally, if there's no improvement or you're just not really I don't see you really engaging with the class, that's how I'm going to compute your grade. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more later. Makeups, no makeups for quizzes or tests. For quizzes or homework, you can get a makeup for a test if you have a very good reason for missing the test, and chances are it needs to be documented. So if you have a medical emergency, for example, you show me a doctor's note, or I had to miss the test for this reason, let me know. Attendance. So yeah, attendance is kind of a weird one. Normally in the in-person setting, I give credit for attendance, but I understand under this situation that we're currently in, attendance might be an issue, even to students who really do want to attend all the time. For whatever reason, this might not be possible for you to make it. I definitely encourage you to attend every session that we have. Consider it mandatory, but I'm not giving you a grade for attendance. I will be tracking it more or less though. So through your Zoom attendance, I'll be looking at that, as well as how many assignments you're completing. Are you keeping up with the homework, etc. Contact. When necessary, I'll be contacting you through various sources. As I mentioned, Jupyter Grades is going to be the main one that I would contact you through, or directly from my email. However, whenever I contact you, make sure you are receiving them and read them. Read whenever I contact you. Chances are it's important. Feedback. I really would want you guys to give me feedback on how things are going, how you're doing. And this is just communication from you to me. So it can be about anything. If it's about the class, just make it constructive. So don't just be like, your teaching sucks. Tell me like, your teaching sucks because, maybe you can do this, or maybe that could be better, or whatever. Or if you're having any issues with the material, or you're having any issues outside of the class, however, it is affecting the class. So something's going on at home, something's going on with your health, something's going on if you have a job and something's going on at your job, just keep me in the loop. You don't have to get too personal and tell me everything, what's going on in your life, but essentially keep me in the loop. So every now and then I would have students who they went through something that causes them to fall off the wagon, but they don't say it to me until after they messed up on a test. Or sometimes I'll just have students just disappear. You know, they'll just stop attending class all of a sudden, and I have no idea what's going on, and I have no choice, and I don't hear from them. I have to reach out to them, and you know, all of these things are bad. Try to communicate with me. If you're thinking about dropping out of the class, you're thinking about stop attending, you're having issues that are affecting the class, or you're not understanding the class material itself, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Reach out to email. I am here to help you. It's my job to help you. I want you all to do well. I want you all to learn. It's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you the support. So use it. Use that support. Reach out to me whenever there are any issues. I cannot stress this enough. It's more important now than for in-person classes. And it was important back in in-person classes as well. Just keep me in the loop as to what's going on in your life. Again, you don't have to get too personal, but anything that's going to affect your performance, let me know about it. Don't suffer in silence. Don't just drop out of things. Keep me in the loop, communicate, give me feedback about what's working, what's not working. Okay, as far as homework, homework is going to be online through a Cengage platform. It's called WebAssign. So Cengage is the company, and WebAssign is the actual software that you'll be using. You can find instructions for signing up there. Here, again, it's hyperlinked in the syllabus, which you can find at the website that I gave you in the chat. This is going to be the class key that you'll need to register for our specific class. And you'll see the homeworks. The homeworks are actually already up. There are a bunch of them that are due just before test 1, and then the rest are due just before test 2. However, I would recommend, highly recommend, that you keep up with the homework. And as soon as a section is done in class, do the homework for that section. Don't wait to do all the section in a batch. Just do the homework as you're going along, as you're learning the topics. It will work against you to leave everything for the last minute. Okay, so I already mentioned that I'm not dropping any homework, but I also understand that it's electronic. You could have technical difficulties, so I'm actually giving you a 10% cushion. So as you can see here, if you get a 90% overall on homework, I'll automatically bump that up to 100%. So you're allowed to miss 10% of the questions, but try to get 100%, of course, and you have unlimited attempts for the homework problems. So there should be no reason why you shouldn't be getting close to 100, if not 100 on homework. And when it comes to the end of the semester, it is one of the things I'll be looking for. So if a student's like, you know, professor, I think I deserve a better grade because I've been working hard, and I look at the homework and you've only done like 22% of the homework, like, yeah, how are you working hard with the bare minimum what you should be doing? You only did 22% of that, right? So keep up with the homework, try to do everything, try to get everything correct. It will help you in the class, and it also helps to show that you are engaged in some way. Okay, so for quizzes and tests, that will be given through Gradescope. So that's why it's important that you are getting the email from Gradescope and you could actually log in. That's the platform. It allows me a lot of flexibility to give you various tests in various scenarios. So for quizzes and tests, and even the final, for the most part, it's hard to type. Someone's typing a question. So Cengage has a lot of, so for Cengage, you'll actually just type in the answer. So it doesn't check your work step by step. However, again, if you're not sure about your steps, you can email me and you can send me a picture and can say, hey, Jhevon, I kept getting this problem wrong on Cengage. Here are my steps. Where am I going wrong? And I'll discuss it with you. We can meet and talk about it. So in terms of steps, you won't need to show these on quizzes. It'll be like multiple choice, short answer, fill in the blanks kind of things. It's very hard to type math, even if you know what you're doing. So I've gone away from the typing, and so it's easier. However, on tests, I will require that you scan your work and upload it. You can do this with a phone scanner. It should be pretty straightforward and pretty easy for the most part. But if you need help doing that, you can reach out and let me know. And you can upload everything to Gradescope. It's going to be our full testing environment. Jupyter, which I mentioned before, is just for your report cards, where it'll house your grades. You'll see nice little charts on Jupyter, and it'll tell you how you're doing and what is bringing you down, what's bringing you up, and how much it's bringing you down by, and etc. Okay, so those are the software. They're all sort of material from various parts of the course will be different in different ways. So don't expect everything to be the same. So all of people will be like, "Ooh, the problem on the test isn't exactly like the problem that I did in the homework." Well, it's not supposed to be. That's just a part of learning. Homework is when you're a complete noob, you don't know what's going on, and you're learning the ropes. The assumption is by the time you're at a quiz, you would be an expert. You would have done a lot of problems. You would know the ropes very well, and you can answer problems that are a little bit more conceptual, a little bit higher level of difficulty. But everything, no matter what, will be fair. I'll never ask you an unfair question. I will never ask you something that I didn't cover in the class how to do it. So that you can rest assured. Okay, moving on. Expectations. Work ethic. Pretty much this is a section where I'm talking about work very hard, work daily on math, participate in class, do all the homework, etc. And to go back to communication as well, I understand that a lot of you might be I'm just reading something in the chat here. Yes. So, and again, whatever you have trouble, like I said, the way that the tests and quizzes are structured, typing should not be, it's not going to be an issue. Like I designed them for it to not be an issue. It might be a slight issue on the homework. And if you have trouble on the homework, just, yeah, reach out to me. You're having trouble with literally anything, shoot Jhevon an email. Just be like, yo, Jhevon, this ain't working. What's going on? Yes, and Julia did a great summary in the chat. Jupyter is for a report card, Cengage is for homework, Gradescope is for quizzes and tests. Yes. And you should have links to all of these things. And all of this is actually in the syllabus and on the website. Okay. Communication. You guys are actually typing a lot more in the chat than my last class, which is very good. Communication is going to be very important, especially in an online learning environment. It's a part of staying engaged. So type in the chat whenever you have something, and you can even say something audibly, and it's okay. So communicate. So whenever I ask a question or I throw out a question to the class, please try to respond. Please try to stay engaged that way. The problem with online classes, it's not that the education is inferior. However, it is much easier for your brain to disengage and half pay attention. Because when you're in person, everyone's in a room, the blackboard is here, everyone is staring, you have an environmental and social reinforcement that, hey, we're all here to learn, we all should be paying attention to what's going on over here. When you're at home in the comfort of your own home, that reinforcement is not there. It's going to be easy for your brain to just wander off, even when you think you're paying attention. How you can combat this is to just actually stay engaged. Type stuff in the chat, say something audibly, make sure you're taking notes. Even though I'll be providing notes for you whenever we have sessions like this, take your own notes anyway. You have to take all that energy that you would have done to go to a person in class and just refocus it on engaging on the online platform. Okay, so that's going to be very important. So participate in class, don't be shy, don't be afraid to say the wrong thing. You're not going to be right all the time. This is okay. It's actually okay. It's actually better, even if you say the wrong thing, it's better that I find out in class that there are misconceptions than for you to go on a test and that's where I find out, oh, I guess they don't understand this. You know, I'd want to know ahead of time where I can clear up misconceptions in real time. So yeah, if you have an idea, say it. Don't be afraid. No one's gonna laugh at you. You're not gonna be canceled. Nothing's gonna happen to you. It can only benefit you. If you say the right thing, you will get confirmation that you're thinking about things the right way. If you say the wrong thing, I'll explain to you that you're wrong and why you're wrong. And don't take this as a put down. It's actually to help you. Everything is being constructive here. It's not meant to criticize anyone or make anyone feel bad. It's about helping each other. And so I need to know what's going on out there, what the thought processes are, what the misconceptions are, what the notions everyone's feeling. And so I can deal with them before the high stakes tests show up. Prerequisite knowledge. For this class, good algebra skills is what you need. A lot of the topics I will be covering will actually overlap with algebra, but I will be going through them, I think, deeper than you would have gone through them in high school. So still pay attention. There will be a lot of things you would see in this class that you have seen before, but I'm really coming from the angle where I am setting you up to learn about these things and perform in a college setting. Doing well in high school and doing well in college are very different things. There are students who are superstars in high school. They get A's on everything, and they come to college and they don't do well. It's a different environment. It really is. So even if I'm going over things that you think you know already, still pay attention, still see where I'm coming from. I'll be giving you advice as we go on how to do these things. And of course, responsibility. That's just something that explains you are responsible for your grade. Yes, I'll be the one actually putting the grade in on your transcript at the end of the day, but I'm only going to be putting on your transcript what you've shown me that you can do. So it's up to you. Take responsibility. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be wrong, especially before the test. Communicate with me. Let me know everything that's going on. Ask questions. Okay. Now, in terms of mistakes, there are a few mistakes that are very bad. I even call them blasphemies. Very, very bad word there. That just means something that should not happen. A very big mistake for which there are dire consequences. These are mistakes that are, on one hand, they're very simple. They're mistakes that shouldn't happen. But on the other hand, I see them happening all the time. And it causes students a lot of trouble. And it just causes mathematics in general to somehow seem confusing and mysterious to people, but it's just because they're not paying attention to certain rules and certain nuances. And so there are a list of mistakes here that I do want to go over with you guys. So now there's going to be a participation kind of component to the class right here. And I'd like you guys to actually participate here as well. So I want to make sure that we all understand what these mistakes are, the things that you should never do, the things that you should avoid at all costs. So let's actually do that section. Things to never do. Okay, so here are the mistakes. Do not do these things no matter what. Someone's holding a gun to your head, Batman is beating you up, doesn't matter, don't do these things. Do not. What we call cancel across sums. Okay, what do I mean by cancel across sums? Okay, so let's say you're working on a problem, dot, dot, dot. You got to a line where you end up with, okay, 2x plus 1 all over 2. Oh, I can cancel the 2's, right? Okay, so that leaves me with x plus 1. No, that is wrong. That is not x plus 1. Okay, this is wrong. You cannot cancel the 2's. Ugh. No. Okay, there is a plus sign separating terms. This is called canceling across a sum, right? So you have 2x plus 1 all over 2. The fact that there is a plus sign here means you can't cancel. You can only cancel across multiplication. So you can cancel across. Oh, by the way, sums does include differences here. Just so we're includes differences. So that's, if you had a minus sign, the same would hold true. You can cancel across multiplication and division. So if you had 2 times x plus 1 all over 2, because there's a multiplication here, you can cancel the 2's and write that as x plus 1. This is okay. So this is correct. And the reason it's correct is because there's a multiplication here. Right? So because there's a multiplication, you can actually cancel the 2's. It's okay to actually cancel those guys. So you can cancel across multiplication or division. You cannot cancel across sums. Okay, so here's another thing that I don't want you guys to do.
I have a question real quick.
Yes.
So for the original problem, 2x plus 1 over 2,
Yes.
would x plus 1/2 be correct if you were simplifying?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay.
So if you had So if you had 2x plus 1 all over 2, first you can either not do anything, or what you can do is you can split this into 2 parts. You can split across the numerator, and the 2's can cancel here because of multiplication. And so you can get x plus 1/2 would be the correct answer. So yes. The second thing, do not distribute powers across sums. Again, a very common mistake. Okay, what do I mean by that? So, example, if you were like, okay, x plus 3 all squared, what is that? Oh, well, I could just, that's x squared plus 9, isn't it? Right? No, it is not x squared plus 9. You cannot do that. So you see this, when you put the square on the x and the square on the 3, no, you cannot do that. So this whole thing right here is incorrect. You cannot just square the x and square the 3. And why can you not do that? Well, because there's a plus sign here. There's a plus sign separating the x and the 3. You cannot distribute powers across sums. What is x plus 3 all squared? What's the right answer? Someone tell me that.
It's x squared plus 6x plus 9.
Right. And how did you get that?
I multiplied I did the FOIL method. So first.
Okay, so you can write it as this, and you can do FOIL first,
Yeah.
Outer, inner, last, and multiply out. And you can use the distributive law. Or what I would say is even better is for something like this, and there are other situations like this, is to know certain generic formulas. So there is a formula for expanding that. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. You can do that a lot quicker. You can do it in your head. And that's even better. If you knew that formula, you would realize, oh, it's just x squared plus 2 times x times 3 plus 3 squared. And so there are actually 3 terms there. Another common mistake is to do this with radicals. So someone would see like an x squared plus 4, and they'd be like, oh, that's just this, right? That's x plus 2. No, it is not x plus 2. That is wrong, right? So no, this whole thing here is incorrect. First of all, this is already incorrect because that should be absolute value of x. We'll talk about that later on. But you cannot distribute the radical across a sum. Remember, radicals are also powers. Can't distribute them across a sum. Okay, so by the way, what is that power? Let's see, x squared plus 4. If I had to write that as something to a power, what would the power be?
1/2.
Right, 1/2, right? So when you see a radical, you should realize that it's really a power in disguise. So whatever you can't do with power, so you can't do this, for example, no. Whatever you can't do with a power, you cannot do with a radical. And the radical is even a little bit more extreme, because to expand a radical like this, it will literally take you an infinite number of terms. So it's not even like here where you literally just missed one term. Over here, you are missing an infinite number of terms when you actually do that. That's something that you'll see in Calc 2. You're not going to see how to expand radicals in this class, but when you get to Calc 2, you'll learn how to expand radicals. It'll require an infinite number of terms to do that. So be careful. You can't distribute powers across a sum. You can do it across multiplication. So what are the can-dos? You can distribute powers across multiplication, division. So if you have something like a 2x all cubed, yes, you can distribute that cubed on the 2 and the x. So that's okay. If you had this, something like the square root or the cube root of, let's say, 27 x to the 9th, then yes, you can actually take the cube root of each part, right? So those are okay. And they're okay because of the multiplication. So there's a multiplication here, there's a multiplication here, and so we can actually distribute powers across multiplication. You cannot do it across addition. This goes into one of the common errors. Students just assume that once you can do something in one context, you can do it in all contexts. No, just because you can do something with multiplication doesn't mean it will work with addition. You have to pay attention to the rules and know what is allowed in which context. Distribution only works in the sense of the distributive law, or if we're distributing across products. When it comes across sums, distribution is a little bit more complicated, but it's a very common mistake to make. Another common mistake, not as common as it could be, but common enough. Don't divide by 0. It's meaningless. So 1/0, you write that down, is meaningless. Gibberish, it makes no sense. When you get to Calc 1, for those of you who have to go to Calc 1, you will cover a topic called limits, where it would appear that you're dividing by 0 in some sense and you can get answers, but you are not. When you get to that topic, you will learn what that's about. But in general, when it comes to literally like plugging in 0 into the denominator of a fraction, it does not work. It does not mean anything. It's useless. It's not 0. It's not infinity. It is completely meaningless. There is no mathematical meaning you can attach to something like that. So if you end up with a 0 in a denominator, there are one of two possibilities. Either you made a mistake and the 0 really should not have been there, but you made some error in computation. Or if you did make a mistake, it means that the problem you are trying to solve actually has no solution. So if in order to solve a problem, you had to put a 0 in a denominator, your answer should be, oh, this actually has no solution, right? Dividing by 0 does not make any sense in any sense of the word. It's not infinity, it's not 0, it's not anything else. It's complete gibberish, nonsense. Don't divide by 0. Now, the last thing, this is more of a do, but I guess I'll frame it in terms of a do not, because that's the theme we're going with here. Do not neglect to use parentheses or proper notation. Okay, so there are a lot of times when students, I find, that they don't write parentheses even when they know they should. or even worse, they just don't know that parentheses were required in this scenario. So you need to know they're required and you need to use them when they are required. It's very important. Now, I'm going to say something that I guess it's going to sound crazy to you if you've never heard anyone say it before. And I apologize on behalf of the education system if you've never heard this before. But here's a pro tip. One of the advice I'm going to give you throughout the semester, you write this down, remember it. Language and grammar and how you write things down, how you say things. In other words, all communication in mathematics and the language that is used and the notation that is used, it is more important in mathematics than it is in any of your language classes. Language is more important for math than anything else. And that's something that students just never really get for some reason, I guess because no one says it to them. So they'll go to a language class or an English class or a writing class and they're like, okay, it's all about language, it's all about the grammar. I have to make sure my sentence structures are okay. I don't have run-on sentences. I'm following these rules when I write things down. And they go to math and then they don't write things the proper way. And it's actually more important to do it in the math class than it is to do it in the English class. In English class, you can be ironic. You can say what you're saying without actually saying it, and everyone's going to understand that that's what you're saying. In math, this is not true. You have to say what you mean, and the notation means something. And if you don't say it properly, it's going to be misinterpreted, and you're going to make mistakes, and it's actually going to affect your understanding of the material itself. Language is very important. Notation is very important. And a big chunk of your studying should begin with you learning, okay, what is the proper notation for this topic? How can I write things down? How can I express this idea? I need to make sure I know how to write this out properly. It's actually a big deal, a bigger deal than students actually realize, and it causes a lot of things. One way in which I see this happening all the time is with parentheses, but it's not the only way, but it's one of the main ways. So to that end, I'd like us to do an example together where we're going to actually go through a problem. It is a kind of problem that we will cover in the class, but it's also a problem that I know we tend to do in algebra class as well. So most of you should know kind of how to do this. So let's actually go through a problem where we're going to illustrate some of these things. Example, given f of x equals 1 minus x squared, compute and simplify f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Does anyone know what that's called, that expression, f of x plus h minus f of x all over h? What is that? What is it called? I mean, you guys have seen that expression before? Does it look familiar? Yeah, right? You remember what it's called? No? Yeah, so this thing here it's called the difference quotient. Of the function f of x. So I can give you a function, I can say compute the difference quotient, and it's really you just computing this expression, computing and simplifying this expression. Okay, so it's called the difference quotient. It's actually a topic that we're going to look at later on in the class, but I think these, yes, to answer Ellie. So again, I do highly recommend that you try to take notes or keep up as much as possible yourself, but I will be providing whatever notes I do here as a PDF afterwards. As well as these Zoom sessions will be recorded and I'll make them available to you guys. Okay. So let's actually do this. So if this is your function, what would f of, okay, so this is where you guys are going to chime in. Someone tell me, what would this actually look like? F of x plus h minus f of x over h. What does that look like? What do I get? If someone can chime in here, tell me what to write. What's going on?
1 minus
Mhm.
x plus h minus x squared plus h minus
1 minus x plus h minus x
squared plus h.
Okay, and then
Minus the original f of x over h.
okay. Thank you, but that is not correct. All right. Tell me some issues here. What happened? Yes?
Sorry, me?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Isn't supposed to be x squared. It will turn to x plus h squared with the parentheses.
Right. So when you see, let's make sure that we understand this now. So when you see f of x plus h, okay, what does that mean? Can you describe to me in words what that means you should do based on what you were just saying? Could you tell me how I interpret that? Was that Manal? Manal?
Yeah, it just means that wherever there's x, you just replace it with x plus h.
Right. Replace all x's with x plus h. Right? That's what that means. Okay. So this is actually incorrect. It's actually a very common mistake, by the way. So I'm sure that more than one person's thought of that. Usually they add like an h at the end. But yeah, what it actually means is you should replace all x's with x plus h. Okay, so let's actually start again and do that. So our f of x is 1 minus x squared. What is our f of x plus h? Minus f of x all over h. Maybe you want to retry. I don't know who said this, but maybe you want to try again using this as your guide as to what f of x plus h would look like.
Would you just replace just take off the squared?
Yeah, so what would that look? Just say to me what you want me to write.
1
minus
x plus 1 minus x plus h minus x plus h minus the original equation? Or would you have parentheses around the second x plus h and then square it, or just leave it as
Yes, because you're replacing all the x's, right? So you're replacing this x here. You're replacing this x with x plus h. You're also replacing this x with x plus h. So you need the x plus h to replace the x in every position. Okay, is that okay, what you just wrote down?
I have a question.
Yes.
I thought you should, if you see f of x in the equation, I thought you could just plug in 1 minus x squared because it's in the equation.
Yeah, that's here. The f of x here is what's over here.
So how did you get like the other half of the equation, the 1 minus?
Because this is f of x plus h. And f of x plus h means everywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace it with x plus h. So f of x means I put the x here and the x here. But f of x plus h means I replace all x's with x plus h. And that gives me the first part here. Okay, so far, are we correct? Is this right?
I believe so.
It is not correct. What's wrong? Something's still wrong here. Come on, people. What's wrong?
The x plus h should be in parentheses.
Parentheses. It's literally one of the mistakes, right? So you need a parentheses here because that negative sign needs to be distributed. And of course, if you don't have the parentheses, you'll end up getting the wrong answer. Now are we okay?
Do we need to put parentheses around
other part?
Right, you need parentheses around this last part here. Now, again, so this is a common mistake that a student would make in this scenario, as well as they would literally forget the parentheses all over the place in this scenario. You need these parentheses. So that's something I want to make sure. So parentheses, don't forget them.
Should we put parentheses
So
around?
you need parentheses here, you need parentheses here, you need parentheses here. And in fact, if you want to know what f of x plus h is, a better way to interpret it is to replace all x's with x plus h in parentheses. So that's why even a nicer way to think about it. So this is actually the correct first step, right? So that's what you should look like after one step. A lot of students who mess up a problem like this, they mess up on the very first step because they leave off parentheses or they didn't plug in the h correctly or whatever. But this is what the correct first step would look like. And again, we're going to go over this topic again, but it's actually something that I know a lot of people have experience with before. And so I just want to remind you of where these mistakes would show up. All right, so that's the correct first step. And you need the parentheses around the f of x part because the negative sign right here is going to be distributed. Now, okay, so now let's go, let's start expanding stuff. So this here is going to be 1 minus x minus h minus, so this is x squared plus h squared minus 1 plus x squared. Is that correct?
No.
No. What did I do wrong?
You distributed, oh,
Go.
you distributed the square to the x and the h when you have to FOIL it out.
Right. What I just did was I distributed powers across sums. You would not believe how common it is to make this mistake. So that is incorrect. What should I put in the parentheses here? What is the correct thing to put in the parentheses here?
It
Yeah?
would be, hold on, x squared plus 2xh plus h squared.
Yes, so that is the correct thing, okay? So I just did the mistake of distributing powers across a sum. It's illegal. It's common, but it's illegal. Don't do that. Okay, so that would be the next first step. And of course, you can expand the parentheses using the distributive law. Okay, so now I know what to do. Just cancel these h's right here, yeah?
No.
No, you cannot do that. Again, illegal. Why? You cannot cancel across a sum. Again, a very common mistake. Students just see an h in the top and an h in the bottom and they decide to cancel it. You cannot cancel across a sum. Okay, so what is the correct next thing to do?
You cancel out the numbers that can be canceled on the top.
On the top, right. So here I would have a 1 minus 1, a minus x plus x, minus x squared plus x squared. Okay, so yeah, I can subtract the numbers here. All right, so what are we left with? So canceling the h, bad. No, you can't do that. So that would be the next step. Now, if you forgot your parentheses, or you are one of those students who just, I know in my head that they should be there. A lot of students, by the time they get to this step where they start canceling, they forgot about those invisible parentheses and end up with something incorrect at this stage right here. Okay. Now, all right, what we can do. Oh, so now I can cancel this h here because that h is by itself, yeah?
No.
No, you can't do that. So this is why I miss in-person classes, so that if anyone said yes, I could like throw the eraser at them or something. I'm kidding. Okay, so no, what can we do here?
Can you factor out h, like using parentheses?
Yep. So the next step would be to pull out the h. Now what?
You can cross out the h on the bottom and the top.
Right, now I can cancel them. Right, and that's because I'm not canceling across a sum anymore. I'm now canceling across a multiplication because here, there's a multiplication. I'm allowed to cancel now. And so finally, this thing ends up being minus 1 minus 2x minus h. And that is your final answer. And so, yeah, you'll see in this one problem, all the mistakes that I mentioned, well, not the division by zero mistake, but that's a mistake that people make in calculus. All the mistakes I mentioned actually happened in this one problem. And there are a lot of students would mess up on the very first line. But there are students who would get the first line correct, but they make mistakes down here because they cancel across a sum or they distributed a power across a sum. And it's easy when I have an isolated example where you can clearly see it's wrong. But a lot of the times when there's so many other things going on, students get confused and they get sloppy on one part of the problem just because there's so many other things being written down. So I do want you to have it in the forefront of your mind, have these mistakes in the forefront of your mind and know what you can versus cannot do. And you need to be very careful with these things. Okay. So, all right, good. Thank you for that participation. More of that. Don't be afraid or too shy to participate. But yeah, those are some important mistakes, important in the sense that you want to avoid them at all costs. It'll cause you a lot of pain. Now, let's actually run through the rest of how things are going to be going. But yeah. Okay, moving on. Help. Everyone needs help sometime. Don't feel ashamed if you need help. It's par for the course. So options. First, there's me. Like I said, please reach out, please communicate. If you have any issues about anything with the class or affecting the class externally, reach out to me, set up an appointment, we will deal with it. Your homework system will also have a personal study plan feature that you can do where you can give yourself quizzes and tests to see how much you understand. Lots of different websites online. Wolfram Alpha Symbol Lab, I use these almost on a daily basis myself, even now. Very useful when you don't have another human being to help you. But there are other things like math forums. If you want to graph things, Desmos and graph.tk, great websites. A Google search can do wonders. So yeah. Now there's a bullet point that I normally have included here, but I don't because normally there's in-person tutoring that's available at the math department. However, almost everyone in the math department is doing everything online now. But I do believe that the math department and or the dean's office and or other offices around campus will offer online tutoring. The problem is I don't have any specific information about any of those resources right now, but if I do get them, I will update you guys on that. So chances are, even if you can't talk with me, you can speak with some tutor via some online platform somewhere else. So that's going to be a thing. As well as your classmates. You can reach out to your classmates. I believe there's a forum feature on Blackboard, or maybe I can set up some other forum where you guys can actually interact with each other, exchange contact information, maybe create your own study groups with others in the class. That's often helpful. Sometimes you need someone else on your level to bounce ideas off of. It's a good thing to actually help out with your classmates. We do have a disability services office here. So if you do have a disability, want to make sure that everyone is on an equal footing, everyone has the chance to do well. You should definitely reach out to them as soon as possible, the first week of class. Do it today. If you go to this website, you will see how to contact them. There's an email address as well as the services they provide. So if there's anything that you would need in terms of accommodations like extra time on tests or something else, you need to reach out to them because they need to reach out to me because there's an official process that needs to happen in order for me to give you these accommodations. Usual class rules, can't really enforce them in now, but essentially just pay attention, participate, much like you guys were doing today. Keep doing that, that's good. Academic integrity, don't cheat. If I catch you to cheat, catch you cheating, it's not gonna be nice for anyone. I don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to be in that situation. Let's not make it awkward. Do your best, but do it on the up and up. Important dates, calendar events. Here's a link to the main calendar, but I put some main events here. You'll notice things like when the college is closed, the last day to apply for a pass-fail grade, the last day to withdraw from the class, when final exams week is. Don't make any travel plans during that week. as well as when schedules will change. So you'll notice there's a particular Wednesday that we have class, even though we don't normally have class on Wednesdays. That's because this Wednesday follows a Monday schedule. So things of that sort you should be aware of. Here are the topics that we will be covering. Now, it'll start off a little slow, and it'll start off talking about a lot of things that you already know. Don't roll your eyes, try to stay engaged, because I am going to be building everything from the ground up so that everyone's on the same page, everyone knows what everyone else knows, and you go on. The class will start to speed up throughout the rest of the class, because once you have the foundation under control, it's easier to apply it to everything else. So I spend a lot of time on foundation. So there are a lot of time spent on chapter 1, but then relatively a short amount of time are going to be spent on the other topics. But if you really build up chapter 1 correctly and really listen to the advice, you will be able to breeze through the other things much easier. So that's the topic list that we will get through. Now, in terms of lectures, so we will have Zoom lectures like this every week. However, the main lecture material you will be learning on your own. This is what's recommended by the Fordham hybrid model. We want the lectures accessible so that students can access them even if it's not in real time. So the lectures are pre-recorded. If you go to, let me actually share that with you guys. Yeah, so if this is on the website, you go to the syllabus. If you go to the syllabus, you'll notice that all of these lectures are pre-recorded, and if you click on them, it'll actually link you to a video of the lecture. And oh, look at that, there's Jhevon again. So this is me teaching in person, like the good old days. I record this class in person, but I go through everything. I go through a lot of advice on, oh yeah, even here's I'm telling people how to be good at math. So this is something that's built into the lectures. Every other week there's a little segment where I give some general advice and general tips. Pay attention to those. But then I actually go through the lecture here as well. And so I teach you here, and then pretty much what we're going to do is you will check in with me on Zoom and we will go over it. So it's kind of going to be like a flipped classroom kind of deal is how we're going to do things. But here are all the lectures. These are the dates by which you should consume the lecture material. So by September 24th, you should have watched up to lecture 7, for example. The location of quizzes are here. So your first quiz is on, as you can see here, September 14th. Quiz 2, quiz 3, the location of quizzes and tests, as well as what lectures they cover are written in the syllabus. Zoom refers to us meeting like we are meeting right now. You log into the Zoom link that I sent you, and you log in at the beginning of class. Quizzes, for quizzes, you log into those on Gradescope during the beginning of class, right? So whenever I'm giving you a quiz, it's going to start at 2:30 on the day that the quiz is happening. Whenever I give you a test, it's going to start at 2:30. It will be in Gradescope. In the Zoom meetings following a quiz or test, I will go over the quiz and test as well as answer any general questions. Any Zoom meeting that does not directly follow a quiz or test, it'll just be general questions for you to talk about what you heard in the lecture. If you have any questions, any issues, any comments, any concerns, I will be checking in regularly with you guys to make sure that everyone is kind of following everything. And someone has a group chat posted in the chat, so you want that as a resource. Final exam. Normally by this time, I know when the date of the final is, but at this point, it's 2020. A lot of things are in flux. I was not given that information at this point. It will be during finals week. So just know that your final exam will be at some point between December 11th and December 18th, but that's as much as I know at this point. The final is cumulative, nothing else is. Everything that's covered by other quizzes and tests is indicated on this schedule. All right, so lecture 0 is what we're having right now. So you don't watch lecture 0. The class policy I'm doing right now with you guys. Yeah, and here is a questionnaire that I usually have people fill out just so I know where everyone's coming from, what your majors are, what your concerns are, etc. How comfortable you are with the material, all that good stuff. Now, of course, since I cannot give you the actual questionnaire, I posted a Google Forms in the chat, so be sure to do that by end of day today. Asking about, you know, are there any religious dates or dates where you would miss a test for religious reasons or etc. What's your level of comfort with certain classes? What's your major? Do you know if you need this class? Do you know what other classes you'll need? So I asked this some general personal, well, academically personal questions that are anonymous, but I just sent you the link. So be sure to fill that out in the comment section. Whew. Okay, so we only have a few minutes left in class. So at this point, while you're filling out the questionnaire, are there any general questions or comments on anything I mentioned or anything about how the class will be run that you want to ask me at this time? Any questions, anybody?
I have two things.
Yes.
One, the link for the textbook that's in the syllabus didn't seem to work.
Okay. I'll double check that. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it must be broken. It originally linked to an Amazon page. I guess they took that page down. However, that you don't have to worry about because when you sign up for the homework, you will have an e-text.
Okay.
Okay, so that's going to be fine either way.
My second thing is in the Google form you sent, because it's anonymous, what should we do if there's a quiz or something that we're going to miss for a religious reason because the questionnaire is anonymous?
You'll just mention that in the comments in the questionnaire and just tell me these dates I'll be absent for religious reasons, and I'll just try to avoid. We'll work around those dates. I mean, right now you know all the dates where tests and quizzes will show up, so you can
I can tell
let
you
me
right
know.
now, September
Yeah.
28th is Yom Kippur, one of the Jewish high holidays.
Where's that? September 28th.
Quiz
So
2.
for quiz 2 would be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just put that in the questionnaire, and we'll do a workaround.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Other questions?
I'm sorry, where's the questionnaire again? I can only see it on the syllabus. Where do I see
I linked it in the chat. If you look in the chat, I posted the link.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's an electronic questionnaire now. It's a Google Forms.
How much is the website that we have to buy?
I believe it's around, it's 100 if you only are using it for this class, but if you want to use it for more classes, I think it's 120, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Which is around the cost of the textbook by itself anyway.
Yeah, if I already bought the textbook, is there a way to like?
You probably have a code in your textbook for WebAssign, so it might be available if you bought it brand new. If you bought it used, I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
However, if you did buy it used and you can't use the WebAssign code that's with the textbook, I'd probably just return the book, just return it and just get the online access because you'll get an electronic version of the textbook.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Other questions? The book is by Cengage. Cengage is the publisher. So yeah, if you look in the syllabus, there is a link. Yeah, so in the homework section of the syllabus, there's a link. By clicking here, you'll see instructions on, it'll send you to the Cengage website. They'll have instructions how to register for the class. And this is going to be the code that you're going to put in for our class. Any other questions? Okay, for now, I mean, we're pretty much out of time. But as I mentioned, if you have any questions or comments or concerns after this, then for sure you can just shoot me an email. And let me know. Well, sun was coming out. Okay, so we are going to wrap up there. Hopefully everything is understood. Anything that's not understood, just shoot me an email and I'll cover that. So reading through the syllabus, I gave you the link to the class webpage so you can go read through the syllabus carefully. I'll provide a recording of this video as well as the PDF of the notes that I was making in class available, and I will let you know when and where. Although that is also, maybe I should share that. That is also on the class webpage. So if you go to the class webpage, hope you're seeing this, you'll notice that the lecture videos, you can also find the playlist here, but the Zoom playlist, what we're doing now whenever we're meeting in real time, you'll find it here in section R04. So if you click on that now, you'll realize it is an empty playlist, but I'll be posting the video that is being recorded currently in that playlist. And I'll send you guys that link via email as well. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up for now. Thanks for participating. Do more of that every time we're meeting. And yeah, let me know of any issues or concerns, but we're gonna wrap up there. I believe our class is done now, yeah. Okay, so I guess that's it. Thank you for showing up. Yes.
Is the only thing we have to do before next class the survey and registering for the
yes,
service?
and you should already start watching lectures. So
okay.
that starts for next week. Yeah. So lecture 1 you should be watching on Monday.
So
Thank
just to clarify, we're only meeting up in Zoom on Thursdays.
Yeah, pretty much every Thursday. The exact meeting locations and times is in the syllabus, but it's pretty much on Thursdays. On Mondays, you will watch lectures and do quizzes and tests, and I will go over those on Thursdays and whatever other concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So before the next class, it was the lecture, the Google form, and anything else?
Sign up for the homework, do the Google form, and yeah, watch the lectures for the next class.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. You're all welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for participating. And yeah, I guess we'll stop right there and I will see you all in the next one. Ciao.